Kevin and Podrick McLaughlin are these amazing filmmakers that I'm lucky to have the opportunity to work with a lot of the time, based in Sligo. And usually the way I work with projects, visuals, as we've been talking about, is often starting with some concept that has a visual counterpart, and then I commission someone to build the visuals. But sometimes people come to me with a visual idea and say, I'm working on a project, do you want to make music for it? So I'm more acting as a traditional sort of scoring musician, I suppose, in that sense. So Kevin and Podrick sent me this Swarm project. It's lots of stop frame satellite imagery. They're just masters of taking lots of stills and joining them all together painstakingly by hand. People always say, oh, is it done by AI or is it, computational? And it's not. It's all like by hand, painstakingly lined up visual, sequences. And it's this really intense story of humans sort of swarming the planet, basically. So you'll see these fields, and then they become built on, and everything's growing, and the human population swarming over the planet. So it's quite an intense story, and an intense sort of emotional message to try and convey musically. But also, because of all the stop frame imagery, it has this really rapid, there's so much structure and small detail in there that I wanted to try and sync to the music. That's why I've done this insane view where we're like looking at everything really zoomed out. I wanted to try and get all that detail in there because that was what was in the visual. So, and I love loads of detail anyway. I always do these tracks where I'm putting more layers than I should do, and getting to that point where you can't really hear another layer, and then I'll go, okay, maybe I can use a binaural panner or Atmos. Using or a spatial audio system is great. You can add more layers because you can have different layers in different positions and all that sort of thing. But that was the idea for this, and I spent a long time trying to get little bits of sync, in line with the video. And also it was interesting because structurally, the arrangement was following, the video was done, the 6-minute sequence. The arrangement was following the pace and the structure from the video, which was an unusual way to work, and it led to some interesting results in terms of where to put changes musically and where to put interludes, and all the things that you would usually structure in a particular way are structured very differently because it's all synced to the video. So let's have a little look. What I'm going to do is I'll play it, and I'm also going to show a little bit of how I work. So I think the starting point for this was actually the pads. So as in the harmonies, as I mentioned before, I always start with harmonies. Let me find that solo there. Is it going to play this? Oh yeah. So there's this chord sequence, and then here we go. So I started with this. I wanted to convey the intensity, and the starting point was the chord sequence, and then this jam with my synths running through the distortion pedals, which I'm going to show a little bit of now. And this doesn't have any of the details sink in yet. But for example, what I would do is I'll have the video sequence running, and I'll be looking at it, and then I'll come to the synth, which is not on yet. It's down here. So that's my synth here. Well, that's not the right note. There we go. So I would play, and then I would come here while I was playing, and then I might send it through this distortion and put loads of reverb on it. So I would basically jam with the pedals and the synth. I'll even turn this one on. I'm doing very badly, obviously. And then get gnarly and just like chuck in these sort of big feedbacks, and in the context of so that was a terrible example of the sort of thing I'd be doing, but obviously not overpowering the mix like that. And then whenever you listen in the context of the actual mix, it's in there. So you can hear those same techniques basically. Let's see if I just play a chord sequence. There we go, that was better. So that's the sort of process. It's like pedals, playing some chords, jamming, recording, layering, and then percussion. So the percussion, I get the general arrangement synced to the sort of progression of the video. And then it was a matter of how can I get all these micro-structured syncs in. Let's see if I can. Oh yeah, the other thing I need to mention with this one is this. I think this is the right one. Oh, I played the wrong note there. So yeah. Sansula, which again was something the McLaughlins requested. I'd done some other pieces with this instrument, and they said, "Can you do the score? Can you use this?" And I said, "Yep, of course." So I've got a fair number of labels up here. So it says spin there. So that's when there's this spinning sequence on the video. And I wanted to, you know, try and emulate that with the audio. So there's these. Sorry, it's not, the video is not playing back very smoothly at all. So what have we got for the drums? There's just tons of little, like basically I've gone through frame by frame and tried to sync up little clicks and sounds with what's happening on screen. Like that sort of thing. And I don't know, what's this one? If I put the drums on, what's this one doing? There you go, there's the one. I've tried to sync something to that grating, which is just a, I think it's just this one here, isn't it? It's just a little. So a lot of it's, how did I even make, I'm trying to remember how the source of these, what the source of these were. Basically, I set up some MIDI channels here, playing basic patterns. And then I set up a lot of movement on them so that the sounds would have a bit of a life of their own by, again, using, Ableton has these, well, the old version of Ableton used to have the Max for Live devices, the API, but now the API devices, now you can just use modulation devices, I think, modulators, there you go, LFO. So you can assign an LFO to some parameters of in your drum rack, for example. Let's see if this has got anything in here. Oh yeah, here we go. We'll look at that. So I had some device, it's gone assigned to everything almost. And that will spit out a bunch of like mess, but then you can start to sequence the mess. And that's, I guess that's the key process, is like having a generative system and then spitting out some little sounds you like, and then picking the bits you like, removing the bits you don't like, sort of sculpting. That's how I end up with this like insane projects, because I'm basically jamming and sculpting and getting rid of bits I don't like, and then going into the video and then repeating bits or sequencing it when something happens with the video and I need it to. Oh, this one's supposed to be something else there. What's the bit that happened there? No. I can mute the. Yeah, I remember that bit. This little. I was like, how do I make something that sounds like that looks? Let's see if I can find it. Is it this one? There you go. That was it. Just going through. What does it look like? What should that sound like? What does this one sound like? Oh, that's not very exciting. Sorry, I'm just. Maybe we should. Yeah, obviously there was a lot going on, and now I'm trying to delve in years later. I'm not quite sure where everything is, but you get the idea. It's basically just, again, that was relying on a lot of these sounds that I've been gathering, like binaural recordings of little clicks and clops and clacks, and my noise bank. I've got my noise bank here, and then I've got, where is it? My sounds. Where's my sounds? My sounds. Here we go. Noise. No. Glitch perk. There you go. Loads of weird sounds I've been gathering. Little tiny clicks and weird things. And then I can just start building things out of them, put them in drum machines with lots of modulation on them, rendering audio, editing it, and then editing little edits of the edits to fit the sort of details of the visual.